plan today was that I was supposed to have a physio appointment at the hospital, which did happen. And then after that, the plan was that I was going to be gardening. And there's a lot with regards to the planting for the autumn, winter and summer planting. There's a lot of planning that I need to do because I have bought so many bulbs. I have developed some sort of a spring bulb addiction, it would seem. I'm going to unravel all of the bulbs that I have, and oh my gosh, you will see what I mean. It's I don't know where they're all going to go. I'm going to upload the information onto Excel. That's another opportunity to be organized. I love organization, anything to do with being organized. That way I will have an overview of everything that I have and I can decide what bulbs are going where. It's nearly 9:30 at night and I'm only just getting round to my bag of spring bulbs. Let me show you what we're working with here. This is my bag of bulbs. It's quite a big bag. That's how wide it is. I've gone absolutely crazy. I don't think I've ever bought so many spring bulbs in all my life. At least not in the 4 years that I've been gardening. So it's so full. It's actually quite heavy as well. I'm planning to lay these all out on the floor. I then want to take stock of what I have, how many I have of each variety, what sort of colours I have or colour schemes that I have. I then want to try and work out from everything that I've got, what can go in the borders, what can go into pots and containers, and what will go at the front of the house or the back of the house, all that kind of thing. I have a lot of containers that I'm updating with winter planting. What I've bought for the pots and containers for over the winter time, it'll actually be covering autumn, winter and spring. So it's mostly heathers and violas and they should last throughout the winter season, right into springtime and possibly even carry on into the summer. I do have violas that have flowered all year long, and I've also had some heather that has stayed all year long as well. So with all the bulbs that I have, I need to work out not just the colour schemes and what's going to go where, but I need to check the labels for everything to see what months do they flower, how deep do they need to be planted, because you get some bulbs that only need to go into the ground by about this much, and then you have others that need to go in by this much. So how deep they need to be planted and also how tall they grow to make sure that I'm putting them in the best possible place as well. So yeah, so I'm going to lay them all out, take stock of what I've got, try and record this information, and then draft up a plan so that when it comes to being in the garden tomorrow and actually planting things, I'm not trying to make this up as I go along and I'm a little bit prepared. Well, hopefully I'm very prepared, so we'll see. I also want to work out how much I've spent on all of these because I believe I got all of these on sale. I'm pretty sure I bought all of these on 3 separate occasions and I didn't spend an awful lot on them. I've really been able to get them for really good value. So the first lot I got from Home Bargains, that was on the 11th of August and they were either like 1.29 or 99 pence. I think I spent like £13, got a whole bunch then, that kick-started things. Then that Saturday, the 16th, Billy and I were in Morrison's and they had bulbs. I'm sure the packets were going for £3 each, or you could get 3 for £6. It was like buy 3, get 1, buy 3 for 2. And I think we bought 9 packets, possibly more. Knowing me, it was probably more. And then on the 31st of August, we were in B&M. I was buying compost and again, I saw bulbs and I was stood there and I was looking at them thinking, you don't need bulbs because you've already got quite a lot of bulbs already in sight. And I was like, I need bulbs, I need bulbs. And so I was buying more and more of these bulbs. And I'm sure they had an offer on where it was, I think it was get 3 packets for £5 or £5.99. And I think I bought I think I bought 15. I don't know, I can't remember. I bought a lot. So, right, time's getting on. I need to get all this laid out, tally up how much I've spent, how many I've got, make my stock list. This is so rock and roll for a Friday night. The gardeners out there will know this is so exciting. So I'm going to get started. All right, so here we have it. So get ready for some figures. We have a total of 29 packets of spring bulbs here, all different varieties that you can see: hyacinth, crocus, snakehead, snowdrops. Actually, a surprising amount of tulips, which I will get to in a moment, and also some daffodils, which I have never planted before. Actually, just as I say that, it's a little white lie. Last year was the first time that I planted some daffodils, and actually I'm curious if they'll come up again. I had little mini ones in my front door pots. So we have a total of 29 packets here, which I purchased for a grand total of £46, which I think is really cheap when you consider how much we've got here and how that all of these are perennial bulbs, and it means that they should come back year after year. And I do already have a lot of bulbs in the ground, and so some will be coming back. Not everything comes back. It's really tricky where I am as well in Scotland. Okay, so we have 29 packets which contain up to 270 bulbs. Everything costs £46 each, which means each bulb is working out at around 17 pence. And I think that is so cheap when the majority of these will come back year after year. And even if they don't, look at what I've got. Imagine if every single bulb flowered. The display that I'm going to have in the garden at springtime, and I won't even need to do any kind of maintenance or anything at all. I'll just let nature take its course and provide a beautiful display. Everything that I have here is going to start flowering in January time right up until June. So we've got the snowdrops that will take place. They will kick off in January, and then the last thing to flower in June will be these Brodea. I'm not entirely sure how I'm pronouncing that. And that these will be going out into the border. Now, the vast majority of these, actually pretty much everything, can either go in the border or a container. However, the tulips will grow up to 50 centimetres. They are going to be going into the borders. There's a few items that might be able to go into a little rockery that I have at the side of the house. But the vast majority of these will be going into containers, except for the tulips. And I have a total of 48 tulips that I can plant. They're all a wonderful mix of colour and variety and shape. So I think what I might do is I'm just going to, except for these two here, these I will be putting into containers. It's very likely that these will be going into pots or containers. But for the rest of the tulips that I have, I think I'm just going to open them all up and mix them into a bowl so that they're spread everywhere. Rather than having clumps of the same variety, it'll be a real wonderful mix. All the planting depths are between 5 centimetres and a maximum of 15 centimetres, which is for the hyacinths, which will be going into a container or a pot. Except for the tulips, everything else is growing with a height from a minimum of 8 centimetres up to about 25. So again, quite ideal for pots and containers, but also suitable if you're putting them into the ground, if you want to put them into the front of a border. Or even, for example, when it comes to the crocus, you could put them directly into your grass. That is something that I've done in previous years, and I do have a few that still come up. I was hoping that they would multiply, but they've not, and I think that's more to do with the condition of my grass as opposed to the quality of the bulb. And most things here will begin flowering during February and March, and they will continue flowering until about April, May time. April, May is when I will start buying summer plants to replace the pots and containers, and March, April time generally tends to be when I start going out into the garden and prepping the borders for the summer months. So as I say, once I get all of this planting done, I will be able to sit back and relax and enjoy the garden and everything that it's got to offer, all the colour in full bloom between the months of September and April. It's going to be very exciting every time I look out the window. And here was the final plan once all the data had been entered. And some might look at this and think it's complete overkill. And I know that there are other gardeners out there that do something very similar to this. I would highly recommend creating a plan like this. This was a great guide for me throughout the day. It meant that I was able to put an earbud in, I could listen to music, or I could listen to an audiobook. I was able to refer to this to keep me right whenever I needed to, and I wasn't having to overthink it all in my head. So this worked very well for me. And now I'm going to show you a series of before and after shots of all the planting that I done on the day. Everything that I'm showing you, all the planters that I have made up have bulbs within them, and on top of all the planters are what we have here. So it's a lot of violas, we've got cyclamen and coloured heathers, with some added silver leaf and berries as well. And we begin with my winter window boxes. So these have actually been sitting in the back garden all throughout summer. I have different window boxes that sit out at my front window during the summer months. Because these had some bulbs planted in them from last year, I find it's easier to have two sets of a winter pair of window boxes and a summer pair of window boxes. That way, when you're changing plants over, you don't worry about taking up any of the old bulbs or disturbing anything that's within the soil. This is how the window boxes look now that they're finished and sitting out on the front window. These will be here from September right up until April time, possibly even May time, when I will then update the summer window boxes and swap them back over. So this sits out above my little front border, which is a little wild at the moment. I was really successful this year with foxgloves, and they have self-seeded, and I'm not sure how many I'm going to leave in place. But I'm very happy with how the front garden is now looking. It's looking a lot fuller and lots of colour all throughout the year. Now, if you've seen any of my garden videos, you will know that in my back garden, I do have 7 hanging baskets all along my fence. So each of these I took down, replenished the soil, planted in some bulbs, and then each of them would have a heather, various violas, a cyclamen, and I think that was it. I still left in the hanging Goldilocks type of trailing plant in each of them, because these grow back every year, so I don't really need to do anything with them over the winter months. I have to admit, I wasn't overly happy with how my summer baskets turned out this year. I don't have 2 lots of hanging baskets the way I do with my window boxes. So these always get updated round about April, May time, and then replenished again in September time. My summer ones didn't turn out very well this year. So by the time I came to updating them, they were looking very neglected and in desperate need of an upgrade, which they certainly got. And I really adore looking out at these baskets all throughout the winter months. They hold so much colour. I also used this opportunity to update the chains on the winter baskets. I did put new chains on, and they are slightly smaller than the older chains, but they still look good. And if anything, it means that anything that's growing underneath them isn't going to touch them. This is one of the pots that I have in the back garden. And when it comes to planting the bulbs in here, there is quite a lot. There's around between 15 and 20, and it's in a lasagna style planting. And everything that's being planted in here, I make sure that the roots aren't going to be too heavy, so that there is going to be enough room for all the bulbs to grow through. Now, this by far is definitely one of my most favourite displays in the garden. It was definitely in dire need at the end of the summer time, but as you can see with its winter planting, it is just absolutely beautiful and stunning. This is falling apart a little bit, so I'm hoping I can buy a new one next year. Now, back in May, I bought these stackable containers and I was so excited about them. I'd never had stackable containers before. You buy them in a pack of 4, but I only wanted to stack 3 at a time. And this actually really worked out in my favour, and I'll tell you why in a second. This is how I had them planted up at the beginning of May, the beginning of the summertime. And I was really amazed at how they turned out by the end of summer. Yeah, look at them. Boy, did they grow. They didn't quite turn out as I wanted them to, but they were very abundant. I sort of just left it to its own devices, but it definitely didn't go the way that I had envisioned it in my mind. What I have done is I took the top tier off, and that is now sitting in my back patio, which you can see here. And with the fourth container that's been left over, I'm now using that as my winter container, similar to what I do with the window boxes. So now over the summer or the winter, I only need to swap over the top tier. And it means that any of the bulbs that I plant in there, I can keep them as is. And again, even with these heathers and the violas on top, these haven't turned out exactly as I thought they would in my head. I'm hoping that as the months go on, they will fill out a little bit more. Certainly the violas will, they will fill out, and the top will be a beautiful array of colour. And then come the new year, there'll be lots of spring bulbs that are coming up too. Here is a collection of lots of various different pots that I have on my patio, and you'll see that there's 3 that I updated at the bottom. These have bulbs in them, and they're mostly just have violas. And the same with this lovely little window box that I have at the back of the house that has the great chrysanthemums in them and a mixture of violas, and these have bulbs in them too. And lastly, I had a leftover heather, which very neatly went into this gorgeous little bicycle that I have. Thank you so much for watching my video, and be sure to keep an eye out for updates during the springtime so that we can see how all the bulbs are coming through.